Welcome to the Investing in Valencia podcast, the show for active investors exploring real estate opportunities, transformation projects, and smart strategies in one of Spain's most exciting markets. This is where investment meets execution, in the heart of Valencia. Today, we're doing a deep dive into, a really interesting real estate investment strategy here in Valencia, one that offers some compelling advantages for investors looking, maybe beyond the typical residential buy-to-let. We're talking about transforming commercial spaces into residential units.
Exactly. And we've been looking at quite a few sources on this. They really highlight why this isn't just some niche idea. It's actually a potentially very lucrative path, especially with everything happening in Valencia right now.
Yeah.
It's about seeing opportunities, really, where maybe others don't.
And Valencia feels like the perfect backdrop for this, doesn't it? You've got this thriving city, the quality of life everyone talks about, drawing more people in.
Right.
And property prices, yes, they're rising in some spots, but they still offer, let's say, attractive entry points compared to, Madrid or Barcelona.
Definitely.
Our sources really flag this as a prime environment for these transformation projects.
Okay, so just so everyone's clear, when we say transformation projects, what are we actually talking about on the ground? Let's break that down.
Okay, so think about taking a commercial property that's maybe underperforming. Could be an old office floor, maybe a shop that closed down on a busy street, or even like a small former warehouse or light industrial unit. You take that space and you reimagine it. You convert it into modern apartments or maybe even houses, depending on the structure.
Right.
And Valencia, it has a surprising number of these sorts of underused buildings kind of scattered across different neighborhoods.
It is striking, isn't it? When you start looking, you see them, not just on the outskirts either, but sometimes right in quite central areas.
And that leads us to, I think, one of the biggest draws our sources keep hitting on, the price you pay to get in, the acquisition cost.
Yes. This is where the numbers start looking very appealing for investors. Our research and what we see day to day consistently shows that these commercial properties often sell for a lot less per square meter than residential ones.
How much less are we talking?
Well, the sources suggest, and we see it too, potential discounts. Maybe 30%, sometimes even up to 50% less.
Wow. Okay, hold on. So potentially half the price for a similar size space just because its current label is commercial.
Pretty much, yeah.
That's a starting margin that really makes you sit up and take notice as an investor.
Precisely. And that lower initial outlay, it creates this really significant buffer. It also fuels the potential for those, attractive returns on investment that the sources mentioned. Even after you account for the conversion costs, the renovation work itself.
Sure, yeah.
The gap between what you spend in total and what the finished apartments are worth on the market, it could be substantial.
So our sources are flagging gross ROIs, potentially hitting, over 25%, maybe 30% on a successful flip project? That's pretty compelling.
It is. But, it's not just about the quick flip, buying low, renovating, selling high. The rental market side is also really important here.
Right, because Valencia's rental market is, it's booming, isn't it?
It really is. It's very buoyant. You've got this diverse mix fueling it. Digital nomads coming for the lifestyle, young professionals moving for jobs, a really steady flow of international students.
All needing somewhere to live.
Exactly. And they're all looking for good quality rental places.
And these converted apartments, they often tick all the boxes, don't they? They're usually modern, done to a good standard, often in decent locations.
They fit the demand perfectly. So even if you're an investor thinking longer term, maybe hold in rent, the potential for strong net rental yields from these converted properties is a really big plus.
It almost feels like these projects are creating supply in a part of the market that traditional housing isn't quite meeting.
That's a really good way to put it. Our sources definitely point that out. Finding prime, ready-to-go residential properties in some key Valencia neighborhoods can be tough. Very competitive.
Right.
But these commercial spaces, they represent this, you could call it untapped inventory.
Hidden potential.
Yeah. You're essentially creating brand new, desirable homes in established areas where maybe finding a traditional apartment is difficult or super expensive. It's quite an innovative way to meet that clear market demand.
Unlocking a hidden layer, like you said. Okay, so thinking practically. Anyone considering this, the big question is always the bureaucracy, the regulations. How do the local authorities in Valencia view these conversions? What are the sources saying?
Well, the encouraging thing is we're generally seeing an increasingly positive stance. From the Valencian City Council, the local town halls, there seems to be a growing recognition that these transformations can actually be really beneficial. They can help revitalize urban areas, bring investment and life back into buildings that might just sit empty or decay otherwise.
Okay, that's definitely good news. So while obviously there are processes, paperwork, that crucial change of use permit comes to mind.
Absolutely.
It sounds like the attitude is generally supportive as long as the project is, well, sensible and positive for the area.
Exactly. You absolutely have to understand the licensing, the local rules, getting that cédula de aprovechamiento urbanístico, for example. That's a key early step to check feasibility. And there might be rules about building height or setbacks, things like that.
Sure.
But the sources emphasize, and it's our experience too, that if you have the right local team, architects, legal people who really know Valencia's specific regulations, these hurdles can be managed effectively. The projects are definitely viable and often actually welcomed.
Okay, right. So for someone listening thinking, okay, this sounds interesting, could we just walk through the basic steps from finding a place to having, say, finished apartments?
Sure. So step one is obviously finding and buying a suitable commercial property, hopefully at that lower price point we talked about.
Well, the acquisition.
Then, straight away, a really thorough feasibility study. That means digging into the local zoning, the planning rules, to make absolutely sure you can legally convert that specific place to residential.
Makes total sense. You need to know upfront it's even possible before you commit too much. Due diligence is key.
Absolutely paramount.
Yes.
Once you've got the green light on feasibility, then it's project design time. You work with architects, maybe engineers, to draw up the detailed plans for the new apartments layout, utilities, making sure it meets all the building codes.
Okay.
With the designs ready, then comes the paperwork. Applying for the necessary licenses from the council. That includes the big one, the change of use permit, and then the building permit for the actual renovation work.
Got it. And then the fun part, the actual building work.
Yeah, and then it's a physical transformation. This can be quite involved, maybe structural changes, definitely new plumbing, electrics, completely changing the inside layout to create those modern, appealing living spaces.
That's where the vision becomes reality.
Exactly. And then finally, once all the work's done, signed off, all the certificates are in place. The investor decides the exit. Either sell the new apartments on the market, hopefully realizing that nice ROI we discussed,
Right.
or hold on to them and rent them out to tap into that strong rental demand.
Okay, so that's the what and the how. Let's just quickly circle back to why Valencia. Our sources seem pretty convinced this city is particularly well-suited.
Yeah, Valencia really does have this unique mix going for it right now. We've mentioned the more affordable entry costs compared to, say, Madrid or Barcelona. That's a huge head start.
Definitely.
Combine that with the really high demand for rentals from all sorts of people, locals, expats, students. And the city's growing international buzz just keeps feeding that demand.
And it does feel like Valencia is becoming known as more investor-friendly generally.
I think so. Plus, beyond the numbers, there's the city itself. It's got this amazing architectural heritage. There's just so many interesting existing buildings, maybe a bit unloved sometimes, that provide this fantastic raw material for creative projects. You can really create something special here.
Yeah, I can see that. Like those old warehouses, maybe.
Exactly. We've seen some brilliant conversions, like old textile warehouses in Rizafa turned into these amazing loft apartments. They keep some original features. They're highly sought after.
Right, adding character. So when we talk about active investors, that term comes up a lot in the sources. Who are these projects really suited for?
Yeah, it's important to stress these transformation projects aren't really a set it and forget it kind of investment. They definitely require you to be involved. You need that willingness to do the detailed homework up front, the due diligence. You need to actively manage the different stages, navigate the rules. It's really for investors who want to create significant value through their own efforts, who are prepared to be quite hands-on.
Okay, so more involved, but the payoff can be significant.
That's what the sources strongly suggest, yes. The potential upside for those willing to be active is substantial. The chance to get really strong returns and benefit from Valencia's growth is definitely there.
And that, of course, is exactly where we at Investing in Valencia focus our expertise.
Yes, absolutely. This is what we specialize in, finding and managing these transformation opportunities. We guide investors through the whole thing, sourcing the right commercial spots with good potential, doing those deep feasibility dives,
Right.
managing the actual conversion project, and keeping a close eye on the ROI. We really know the local market, the regulations inside out.
So if you're listening now and the idea of taking a commercial space and turning it into high-demand housing in a city like Valencia, if that excites you, whether you're thinking about flipping for profit or maybe holding for rental income or even building up a whole portfolio of these unique properties, we really do encourage you to reach out. We've got the local know-how, the network, the strategies to help navigate this specific type of investment.
Yeah, whether you're an experienced property investor already or maybe someone looking for a new venture in a really vibrant European market, these transformation projects in Valencia offer a really compelling and maybe sometimes overlooked way to reach your goals.
Absolutely. So as you consider your next investment move, maybe think about that untapped potential sitting within Valencia's existing commercial buildings. Think about the opportunity there to create the kind of modern, desirable homes people are really looking for right now. For more information and to explore how these kinds of opportunities could fit your own investment strategy, please do contact us. The email is info@investinginvalencia.com. We'd be really happy to chat about how we can help you find those hidden gems in Valencia's market and turn them into successful investments.